Okay. Hi, Amy. I see you there. Okay, we're going to get started. Welcome, welcome. So today what I will do is we'll talk about the topic. So I'll go through that. So if you have any questions throughout, please pop them in the chat box just below. You should be able to see that there, and I can come back to it, or I can stop sort of going through the content and answer the question in that live moment as well. So, yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I'm Thelma. I haven't met you before, Amy, I don't think. Um, I'm a holistic counselor and I use psychotherapeutic tools and strategies to help you feel, process your feelings, and then implement that into your everyday life and ground it into practical ways of living. Now, I'm going to share my screen as I usually do. So today I will talk about specifically after you've processed your feelings, and I'm saying it more towards therapy because that's generally when we can go really deep and process our feelings, depending on the scale of the trauma. So something like PTSD, where you're getting flashbacks, and it's taking you and you're dissociating back into that moment, is a little different to a wounding or core belief that might be coming up and impacting your relationships and your everyday life. So there's a different scale to what happens after therapy or during therapy that will impact your everyday life. I am speaking into it from a holistic point of view and from my therapeutic modality that I use. So I've got here also. And it depends on the therapist. So a lot of people go to therapy and don't really go deep, or they might not feel safe with their therapist. So that can also impact whether the therapy or emotional processing is really supportive for you in your everyday life. Now, integration, what is that? Why do we need to integrate? Integrating is bringing it into your everyday life. So I always kind of have this idea of it bringing it closer. When we're young, what has happened is we have fragmented from parts of our personality and qualities in us, where we have pushed it away so far. So qualities such as, and I'll bring more examples into it. Say we might have qualities of fear. We may have qualities of all these sort of different qualities that come up where we really identify with them. And what happens is we have identified so much with them that we've pushed away, dismissed, or minimized parts of us that really would help us in our everyday life. And this is what integration means. So, in therapy, what you do is you become aware of the parts of yourself that you have pushed away out of fear on a subconscious level. We don't know that we do it. And so, in order for us to integrate this part back in, part of it is a natural progression. After you have therapy, you will naturally have this integration flow of our biology will naturally want to integrate it, and we also need to take action to do that. So that's where the therapy brings awareness, and some resolve, some integration, and then we have to also then take action because of the fragmented parts. And generally with the fragmented parts, what is happening there is we've pushed them so far away that we can only see them when we judge other people. This is like a really good indicator. We can see them in other ways too, but judging other people and judging ourselves is a really good indicator of what parts of ourselves we've fragmented from as well, and to integrate that back in. That's why, because it's subconscious, that's why it's really helpful to have therapy and be able to go into the belief systems that we carry that have pushed away things, which then when we go into that belief system, when we start to talk to those parts, understand them, validate them, hear them, we then start to bring them closer to ourselves and reintegrate those qualities, personality traits, so we can feel whole again. So what is it? What is it? How does it integration work? So I've gone through a bit of that already around how it works, what it is. So I'm just trying to think if there's examples of this. So I'll give you an example for myself. I used to be really rebellious and quite hard. And what I realized is when I started to do the work and I was in personal growth, I realized that I needed to integrate a softness in me because I had become quite hard because I had three brothers. I have a sister, I'm the youngest. So I did it to protect myself growing up. However, I'm quite sensitive and empathetic. So that hardening was also pushing away my empathy and my sensitivity and it was creating anxiety within me. So for me to then integrate that, I did some work to understand, okay, this is why I became hard. This is there's a part of me that wants to be soft and feminine. It wasn't safe growing up. Why wasn't it safe? So I did therapy on that. And then I was able to start to integrate it into my everyday life by doing things like yoga, bringing this softness into my life. So that's one way, one example of how you can integrate after therapy, after the awareness piece. But we will talk about why this isn't easy as well. So usually after therapy, depending on what you've worked through or emotion, even if you've gone to a breath work, sound healing, say you've processed some emotions, um, you've done some spiritual work, whatever it is, whatever modality that you've used, you may feel fatigued, open and fragile because you're hitting parts of yourself or you're experiencing parts of yourself that are hidden usually, that are suppressed. And so that's why we can feel open and fragile because that part wasn't safe to come out when we were young. So we can feel low and sad after therapy or processing our emotions. And health symptoms can flare up. So this is very common. I saw this a lot when I worked at the mental health retreat. A lot of people's health symptoms would flare up while they were doing the emotional work. And also they would start to get nightmares. The ones that had PTSD would get severe, horrific, like terrifying dreams. Their health symptoms would flare up. So your body's kind of now, when it feels safe, when you feel safe in a therapeutic environment, breath work, sound healing, wherever it is that you go, a mental health retreat or retreat in general, you may find that things start to come up to be processed. And after you've processed one thing, you might find the next thing starting to come up as well. I've seen this and it's quite common in people too. So it's really important to have, and I will go into this, really safe environment to go home to after you've done this sort of work. Other positives is you can also feel energized and motivated depending on what you've worked on as well. And then the other one is you can feel like it's very confronting. And that's when our protector comes out because we can feel this, oh, I know something's there now. And this awareness, I can't not like unlearn it. And so now I need to do something about it. So it can feel quite confronting. That's the hard thing about therapy. Unless you're ready to make the changes in your life, it can actually feel not only confronting, but it can also go, I can even go as deep as saying it can feel abusive if you're not willing to make the changes because the awareness is there and there's almost like, okay, I don't really have any excuses anymore. I know why I am doing the things that I'm doing. So it can be quite hard as well. So let's talk about the protector. The protector. If you have any questions, please just type them in. I would love the engagement as well. The protector. So that's so many of us know as it's self-sabotage. It's the part of us that will come in and it will resist the healing. So it will generally want to dismiss, ignore, avoid, minimize. It will want to justify. It will come in and dismiss this because the reason why we have created the personality that we've created was it protected us. It gave us enough to survive. It also brought closeness into our lives, regardless of whether it was healthy or not. But it created this environment that was enough for us at the time to survive. So if you want to thrive in life, though, that is where we need to integrate parts of ourselves that we have pushed away to survive. So it's a little bit tricky like that. So our resistance will come in, the protector that thinks it's protecting us and it thinks we're back in that space on a subconscious level will try to stop us. This is where a therapist, coach, someone that you work with can work with you and the protector, and generally will be able to see it more clearly than what you will be able to see it. And this is really important to not force or bulldoze through the protector, because it's generally our inner child. It's like the little vulnerable part of us that just wants safety and is terrified to step into different qualities or personality traits because it wasn't safe when we were young. So the protector is actually our vulnerable part, and we really need to honor that part as well. Okay, so resistance is there. Yeah, as I said, it's because it's scared, and it's got belief systems as well. So you might have this goal that you're working towards. You might have something that you're working towards, and your therapist or your coach or someone is helping you. And what you will find is that it will become uncomfortable. It will become uncomfortable because it's hitting up against belief systems that you have, and these belief systems create fear, and the discomfort generally becomes like an activation in the nervous system. So we will feel either anxious, we will feel maybe shut down. These different protective mechanisms will come in to stop us from doing the very thing that we want to achieve. That's when you know you have resistance and a belief system, a subconscious belief system that's stopping you. So it's important to build confidence in a safe environment, workplace, healthy habits that support your nervous system. And this is um, some of the belief systems that will derail us and will stop us from creating what we want. It will create a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. These are all subconscious belief systems that we actually don't even know are underlying and driving our decision making. It will be very much like you will try to achieve a goal, and the self-fulfilling prophecy, something will happen, and it will continue to make you either feel anxious or shut down or depressed. You will know that these belief systems are the underlying belief systems. I'm unlovable, I'm worthless, people can't be trusted is a common one. I hate myself, I am broken, there's something wrong with me. Uh, so an example of this is I used to attract, as I've got anxiousness, anxious attachment. And so this is when I feel insecure. I have done a lot of healing and am more secure now. But when I was in that space, I would attract people that would actually reinforce the belief system that there's something wrong with me and I don't have value, and they're the ones better than me. They have more value than me. They're more special than me. And so I would reinforce that by being with friends with people who I would put up on a pedestal. I'd think they have there's this special power they have, or I would think that they're more special than me. And so what that would mean is I would attract people that would actually think that they're more special than me, more valuable than me, more, smarter than me. And so they would educate me, or they wouldn't see me and my value, my strengths. So it would be this self-fulfilling prophecy that I would continue to create, because I would feel like I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or there's something wrong with me. So that's how we can reinforce these belief systems and create this self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah, they become our identity as well. So everything that impacts our nervous system will actually impact the ability for us to really honor what we learn after we've processed our emotions. And that is because if we are in a fight flight, so worry, anxiety, fear, anger, or if we're in a shutdown, depression, we are in shame or guilt, we're in survival mode. So it's really difficult to honor the traits and to work towards goals when we're in that and to integrate parts of us that we're already scared of. So it can be a difficult thing. So I've got here that on a holistic perspective, when you work with your emotions and your feelings, either whatever modality you're using, therapy, sound healing, breathwork, any of the modalities, Reiki, kinesiology, when we are working in this space, we want to also improve our work, career, purpose, relationships, environment, mental health, and physical health. It's a holistic approach. This is why, for a long time, people thought that they could compartmentalize their experiences. And what that means is if I go to work, I can just leave work at work and it's not going to impact me. If I have a negative relationship, I can just go see my friends, or I can just go to work and deal with my relationship when I get home, and it won't really affect me because I don't see them that often. So when we try to compartmentalize, it's actually a coping mechanism that's dismissing, minimizing, and numbing out experiences. But what is happening, we're in survival mode when we're doing it, because what it will increase is a fight, flight, or a shutdown response. And our nervous system doesn't know the difference between being at work or being at home or being in, a relationship at work or at home. Like, so it doesn't know the difference of that. It just knows whether it just knows whether we are anxious and worried or reinforcing these, whether we're shut down at home and we go to work, all we're doing is suppressing that shutdown from home by distracting ourselves from it. So suppression happens. That is what is happening when we're compartmentalizing. It's not actually a possibility if you want to thrive in life. So I always talk about with my clients is, what are you doing, that's helping your mental health outside of here? What sort of exercise? What are you eating? Can you get a massage? Because touch is really important for us to ground. What sort of things can we do to regulate our nervous system? So I've got a list of things, and if you want this list, feel free to email me and I can give you a copy of the list. I have a few tools that I can send you as well. So with this list, I would encourage you to make your own list of grounding tools. And this is why often for us to integrate anything from emotional experiencing, we really need to be grounded as much as we can, because we will become if we're going to therapy, we're going to therapy because we are dysregulated in the first place, and there's things that are stressing us out, and we're not sure how to fix it. Really, we don't know what to do with it, and so we really need to bring into our everyday life things that are going to ground us and regulate our nervous system. There's a lot of different ways to do that, and these are just some examples here. Okay, when we integrate part of us that we've become aware of in therapy, or as processing our feelings, we become more balanced, healthy in our life. So this is what, when people talk about wholeness, this is actually what they're talking about. It's integrating these parts into our life will bring a more balanced me, balanced you. And I'll give you some examples as to why that is. So if I'm someone that often feels weak, and being strong was unsafe when I was little, so I've got a lot of excuses around like why I can't increase my strength, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical. Then what I would do is some resistance work around that. But what you would want to do is integrate a healthy dose of being strong and powerful in your life. So that would be the opposite of what you're really identified with. So all these examples that I'm giving, these are certain ways that we speak to ourselves where we identify with these qualities. So say I might be someone that's anxious all the time. That's me identifying with being anxious. I am anxious. I am depressed. I'm a workaholic. So it's kind of like this fixed way of thinking. And so if we have this fixed way of thinking, then we're dismissing a part of ourselves that doesn't want to be a workaholic, that doesn't want to be depressed, that wants to be, on the other side of that. The scary thing about that, though, is being these things has protected us in some way. And so coming out of it can feel uncomfortable. So what we want to do is do it in a healthy way where we don't bulldoze through. So once you've done therapy, you've processed your emotions. Let's say that you've come up with, wow, I'm a giver. I just give all, I give everything. That's just in me. It's my personality. But what's happening is that nothing's coming back and nourishing for you. So you might be finding, okay, what can I do to support the little me that also wants nourishment? And that could be giving, because when you're young, you may not have had that yourself. So you might be giving out of, okay, like that's where it comes from. It comes from, oh, I didn't have much when I was young, so I'm quite generous now as an adult. And what I'm realizing is that people now expect it, so I'm not really getting anything back. So what we want to do is we want to bring in healthy doses of the opposite of these things and integrate it into our lives. The protector is the reason why we find that difficult to do. So these are just some examples. I don't like change, or I'm a risk taker. I don't like, maybe some people don't like sitting still for long, or they want lots of change in their lives. They travel a lot. So whatever we're really kind of hyper focused on and maybe we really identify with, it's a good indicator and signal to go towards the other direction and see what's there, and doing some processes around that as well to integrate different things in our life. So an example of this could be to say I do a process with someone and they're someone that don't get angry, and I do a process, and in the process they're getting angry, and they realizing underneath that anger is a boundary. And so they're like, okay, there's a boundary here that wants to be heard, seen, understood, and expressed. And so integration would be, okay, how can I express this boundary to this person or to someone in my life, and where it feels safe enough. And it might start with the therapist. You might do a bit of role play with the therapist where you express a boundary and feel it in your body. It's a safe space. So you're building confidence in that safe space. And then you start to do it with a friend that when it will land okay with them. And then you start to get more and more courageous. So that's some ways of doing it. Let's check the chat box. Oh, that's okay. Thanks, Janet. Have you got any other questions? Okay, yeah, if you've got a client, great. Yeah, so what I will do is go to the next one. Okay, we become aware of the subconscious and the part of us we have been suppressing or repressing when we can take action that feels possible. So that's what I've been talking about. So all these parts are generally a subconscious part, and it's becoming aware of that subconscious part and then integrating that into your life, whether it's inner child work, self-love work, needs. Maybe you've identified some needs that you need to bring into your everyday life more directly. Many of us have needs that we don't know that we're actually behaving in our everyday life to achieve. And so what happens is we can manipulate our way to get the need rather than go directly for it. In therapy, you'll get an understanding of the specific need, so you can go directly for it. Then you can reparent yourself as well. These are all different ways to integrate into our lives. So what have I got here? It's an act of self-love, meeting our needs and reparenting ourselves, because our personality was created to survive our childhood, connect with our parents and friends, and to be loved, which I've already brought in. So I think that is it. I'll stop sharing. If there's any questions. Okay. Oh, great, Amy, you've been cooking. Sounds good. I'm glad that you're able to listen. If you've got any questions, I would love to hear them. You can put them in the chat box. If not, you're more than welcome to reach out to me for any resources. I would love to hear what your takeaway is from today. If you learned anything, that would be really fantastic to hear. Any insights? If you even have experienced seeing a therapist before, anything like that would be amazing. Okay. Okay, not at this stage. Thank you. I like the concept of integration, inviting the opposite parts of ourselves to come through that might be suppressed. Oh, I love that, Amy. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. It can be really simple like that. It's just seeing it and taking a healthy dose of the opposite part. How could I bring that into my everyday life? Yeah. Okay, well, I appreciate you both being here. And if you need anything, you know where I am. You can contact me and I'll send through the replay. It might go to your spam, so just check that. I send it every Monday. I'll send you the replay and the next, I will also send you the next topic as well. So if you come up with questions in the meantime, it doesn't have to be directly related to the topic. You're welcome to bring in any sort of question. Okay, have a beautiful night and I will see you all later. You're welcome, Amy. Bye, Janet. Enjoy your client session.